The Kuva Ogris is a variant of the Ogris rocket launcher in Warframe. Kuva weapon variants have this thing where they can have some additional elemental damage on them. You've got some flexibility with what type that is, too. And the Ogris has this augment. The augment leaves behind this fiery field after each explosion that inflicts the heat status effect. Add to that the normal damage types of the Ogris. It's explosive, so it's got blast damage, it's got some physical damage types, it's got really high status chance, and you can probably see where this is going. If you build the Kuva Ogris to prioritize a very high variety of status effects along with multi-shot and status chance, you can load enemies up with status effects, many enemies at once across a very wide area. Those enemies are then rendered both basically harmless and also easy pickings for other weapons. Thus what we've affectionately dubbed the Rainbogris on my streams. This is one of the very few weapons in Warframe that I think maybe lives up to the concept of what might be called a status priming weapon, loading up enemies with many different status effects, usually to boost follow-up damage with an effect like Condition Overload or some of the Galvanize mods, which benefit you when enemies have a lot of different statuses. That can be pretty fun. I have some thoughts about how effective it is, but I certainly enjoy this way of doing it. I'll show you what I did for damage types. And one of the main limitations is that because simple elements will combine together if you have multiple of them, just adding a bunch of simple elements doesn't particularly get you much of anywhere with having a lot of status types on the weapon, because they'll only make a maximum of 2 different types. So if you have, let's say, just 1, well, you got 1 damage type. 2, you still only have 1 damage type because they combine together. 3, now you have 2 damage types, but then 4, you still only have 2 because the new 2 combined together. And if you add any other elemental mods, like let's say you add some more toxin damage or something, some infected clip, it will just combine back further into the element you've already built using toxin. So you can only have a max of 2 if you just go this method. And from there you have a few options. You can get an element to trigger its status effect without equipping it as a basic elemental. So that's what Nightwatch Napalm is doing here. You get heat status effects, but you don't need to use the heat element mod, or you can use it for something else. We'll get to that later. And Warframe also does this kind of odd thing where if you get an element pre-combined, a combined elemental damage type, but without building it yourself, you just get the combined elemental type. Like this is a radiation mod. Warframe doesn't treat it as if you built radiation, it's just kind of separate. So you can now use, in this case, heat and electricity elementals, and they won't get sucked into the radiation you already have because you didn't build it yourself. That's just how it works. Of course, this is also where the innate Kuva weapon element comes in. You can get some combined elements using that system, and it does the same thing. You know, they won't suck up your single elements, but the only 2 combined elements available are radiation, which you can already get, and magnetic. So if you must maximize the number of elements on your weapon, you must get magnetic. There you are, it's quite the list. Not much puncture and slash, but they're there. Innate blast damage, heat from Nightwatch Napalm, which won't be pictured here, radiation, magnetic, a combined element, for example gas, and a simple element, for example cold. Is that 8 elements all told? Don't forget the multi-shot. That's way more effective status output than just running another status elemental. You have a ton of status chance on these projectiles, the explosions, and so duplicating them entirely is way more effective output. It's also more damage, but that's by the by in this case. It's kind of fun to use the concept of separate multipliers for something other than damage. Once you've got a lot of one thing, it's often better to just get whatever there is of something else, unless the amount you get is really, really bad. It's better to mix up the different sources of anything, status, chance, damage, whatever it is. All right, heavy caliber. The idea is to purposefully reduce the weapon's accuracy so that the rockets from multi-shots spread out, and you'll see that as I fire at a group of enemies, they sort of hit in a small spread instead of all in the same spot. The idea is that the damage isn't that significant, and if multiple rockets hit the same target, the status may overlap, so the most overall output comes from having the rockets spread out. I'm still often not convinced that this tactic is accomplishing much, but it's sure a lot more likely to get you killing enemies faster. If you're 1 second pulling the trigger to load enemies up with statuses, just affects way more enemies. I also just think it's more fun this way. It feels great to fire this status apocalypse at a big group of enemies. Even into higher levels, it'll frequently kill or incapacitate weaker enemies too, so it's not like literally nothing dies. I just didn't want to emphasize its damage potential because it's not really there, it's not very good. Here at the top, that's also why I've chosen to use gas as my combined element. The idea is that if any smaller enemies get gas status effects and then die, the gas field lingers in the area for a little while. So combined with Nightwatch Napalm's flame area, lingering in the area for a little while, this weapon is a little better than other weapons that prime enemies if the enemy just dies anyway. Let's say your teammates kill them really quickly or, wouldn't know anything about that. a lot of the time your squad has just got it covered. And if you use this weapon in those situations, I think it gives you a little more, or you could say like a little bit of a refund on the status priming you did by leaving a lingering effect in the area for a few seconds. Not a huge thing, but it's kind of nice. Oh, and actually, while we're here, I chose to use Primary Frostbite. The idea is to give yourself more multi-shot. Pretty straightforward. I just don't have that many copies of this yet. If you wanted another option, you could simply use Merciless and get some reload speed. You get that from the final rank. That'd be nice. This weapon has a small magazine. Okay, and then we have to talk about the ammo situation. It can be kind of rough when you use the Ogris this way. I do recommend an ammo mutation pretty highly here. To my memory, this is actually the only weapon in the entire game that I use an ammo mutation on, currently anyway. I usually solve my few ammo issues in other ways, but the entire premise of this approach is that this weapon is going to be fired first every single time, and then no matter what else happens, you've always used a round of ammo. So yeah, I really do recommend the ammo mutation. I actually leveled it up just for this video, just for the Kuva Ogris. I've had a lot of fun with this thing. To do the rainbow barrel situation, by the way, this wasn't something I came up with. It was suggested by someone during a stream of mine. I've got a sort of reddish orange here and a sort of bluish green here, and then purple in the background. You should be able to do this for lots of Kuva weapons. Or even more rainbow statuses. I found my Rainbogris a home with Citron. You've been seeing that in some of the footage so far. The Chorophel, which is that shotgun scythe thing, hits a very large area with its heavy attacks, so it's a great condition overload use case. You can hit a lot of the enemies you hit with your Rainbogris all at once. Citron fires it faster. While her Prismatic Gem ability applies only a set of simple status effects, so you're getting the elemental effects you mostly don't have, you're only overlapping heat. So just think Citron is a great area controller, which is probably also where the Rainbogris is going to do its best work. So folks, I hope you enjoy playing with this gameplay gem. That was the Kuva Ogris as the Rainbogris. Hey, thank you for joining us. Where are we off to next?